What's up, YouTube? Special shout out to the subscribers here on the channel. I really appreciate the support, and welcome to another weekly video log documenting my process of training, getting ready for Ironman Texas coming up in April. These video updates I'm doing once a week, talking through the training as it comes, taking a look at the previous week of training, and then also talking about the training coming up in the week ahead. This is week 11 of the series that I've done here. So this is the 11th week of training that I'm diving into here. There are 10 more weeks to go until the race. We are almost to the point where it'll be single-digit weeks before the race. And I am actually feeling a lot better this week. Last week's video, I think I did spend a lot of time talking about the struggles I'd been having with the training, days that felt really hard, specific workouts that were really tough. And this past week, I don't really think I had a single day where I was, really having to push that hard or really having to convince myself not to quit. Most of the training, if not all of the training last week, went really smoothly, and I'm happy to dive into that. So taking a look, starting out on Monday, I had a swim that I'm very familiar with. It's a pace change workout in the pool. It's these 125-yard sets where you change up your pace in the middle of the 125. So it sounds a little complicated, but it really isn't. And when you get used to it, it's a really fun workout. The way that you do these, you swim the first 50 yards nice and easy, then you sprint for 25 yards, and then you swim 50 yards more at a moderate pace. So the whole idea is like you kind of recover a little bit on the first 50, punch it, and then you try to hold on to a moderate pace for the final 50. I did 2 sets of 8 of those 125s, and they were feeling pretty good. Got them all done in a decent pace and was feeling strong by the end. So a good start to the week. And then also had 2 different strength sessions on Monday. I did my usual yoga class, but I also had a body weight strength workout that I did on Monday as well. And that's part of the strength training that's being programmed by the strength trainer that I've hired for the past few weeks. So she has been giving me extra strength homework to do, and whenever I can, I'm getting it done. There's really a workout almost every day in the app that she's provided me. Sometimes I don't get to it, but for the most part, I make my best effort. So Monday, training went great. Tuesday, had a hour-long aerobic ride. Kept this one very easy. My average heart rate was only 108. I went and did this ride on the road. I'm doing some loops at a local park. Really nice practice, staying in the aero position, just taking it nice and easy, recovering from the weekend's training. And then off of that bike ride, I had a 40-minute run, another 5-mile transition run off the bike. Kept my heart rate nice and low, averaged about 750 per mile. I've done a lot of these 45-minute transition runs. They're kind of a known quantity. And this one was no different. Nice and easy. Happy with the heart rate, happy with the pace on that. On to Wednesday. Wednesday was a little bit of a curveball. I did a speed workout. I went to the park where I run loops, and the set was 5 by 5 minutes at 10K effort. Now, I don't think I had run at 10K effort for several weeks. It's something I really don't spend a lot of time doing these days, and I don't think I've really focused on that sort of 10K speed and faster for almost a year. So I wasn't sure how this one was going to go. Fortunately, right off the bat, first interval, first 5-minute take at it, nailed it, felt pretty good, and I was able to continue that for the remaining 4. I'm not too sure if I could have kept going or if I could have gone faster. It was kind of hard to gauge my effort. Like, it felt difficult, but it wasn't as like painful and hard as I thought it might be. Mentally, physically, it was a little difficult, but mentally I was on top of it. 5 by 5 minutes, I think I averaged around 625 per mile for all 5 of those 5-minute sections. Good workout, and then went on to do another strength training session that day with the group. So Wednesday's training, speed workout, strength training, pretty good day. On to the next day of training, which was a 90-minute easy bike. So similar to the hour easy ride I did on Tuesday, I went back to the same park where I like to ride outdoor loops. I tried to work a little bit harder. The ride I did on Tuesday, I was trying to take it as easy as possible. I mentioned my heart rate average was like 108. On this ride, it says zone 2 in the description. I'm not really able to get into my zone 2 power and heart rate very easily doing loops at this park. It's just a little bit too fast to feel safe going around in these loops. But my heart rate average for this 90 minutes was 131. So definitely worked harder than Tuesday and spent a lot of time in the aero position. Definitely felt like a productive ride, and no run on Thursday, but I did have a personal strength training session, one-on-one with my strength trainer. That was a pretty tough workout. She had me doing some things that I really haven't never done before, some things that I'm really unfamiliar with, like for example, these Bulgarian split squats. I'm not holding a lot of weight here. I think that's just like a 25-pound kettlebell, maybe not even, maybe like 18. It's like a little baby kettlebell. But honestly, just the range of motion, having that foot isolated, I'm really having to work hard to keep my balance here. And just the way that she had me set my feet up, where as I'm pressing up, I'm like pushing through my heel, and I could just feel that all through my posterior chain. I'm glad I only had to do 2 sets of these. I got through the first one, and then instantly I could tell, like, whoa, I just kind of rocked my hamstrings there. So good strength training session on Thursday. I am really happy so far with the strength training that I've been getting from the trainer. She's been doing a really good job keeping me feeling motivated and slowly working in some of these harder movements like that one. And I'm really committed to continuing to work with her all the way up through the race and potentially beyond that as well. I'm really trying to take strength training seriously now, y'all, and so far so good on that. So moving on to Friday's swim, it was a bit of a difficult swim because I was splitting lanes. The pool was so crowded on Friday, and there was no way I was going to get my own lane. Did my best to do this set. There was a little bit of sprinting involved. I really had to, the first 3/4 of the swim, I was really having to just swim around my lap mate there. And I did get my own lane for like the last 4 100s of it. So I got my heart rate up, and I got to do some sprinting there, but short swim, but it was just a little bit difficult. Glad that got done. So 2 swims last week. Moving on to Saturday, we had a long run. This was a 2-hour easy pace run. Ended up with 1 hour, 47 minutes of moving time. My approach here, I've had several runs that have been close to 2 hours where the last few miles I'm really I feel like I'm working too hard. Like I didn't take the beginning of the run easy enough, and therefore I'm sort of suffering on the back end of it. This week, I really just tried to not get ahead of myself, try to keep the pace a little bit more relaxed. And I can happily say that the last few miles of this run really felt pretty good. My heart rate did not actually spike up into zone 3. I was able to keep my heart rate average there in zone 2. I slowed up a little bit in the last mile there, but really that just all came along with this whole let's try to take it a little bit easier approach. Ended up around 8:05 for the average pace, and my heart rate was also 153. So to me, that is a nice, solid, easy run, and I'm feeling good on these 2-hour runs. Can't complain there. Ended up going about 13.2 miles. So on to yoga on Saturday, doing some stretching, really trying to keep that mobility up. Not too much else to say, although I'm really glad that I got 2 yoga classes in last week. I think it's really helpful for me. And on to yesterday's training. Yesterday's ride and run was a long day. The initial workout called for 4 hour and 30 minute of zone 2, nice and steady, easy ride. I ended up doing 30 minutes of that on the indoor trainer at the gym. So me and some of my friends that are training for Ironman Texas, we went and set up our bikes the night before, got in at 6 in the morning and did the beginning of the workout before the sun came up. The plan was to have an hour of the ride done, but I actually slept in. I could not believe it. I woke up about 35, 40 minutes too late, and that ended up chopping about 30 minutes off of that hour that I wanted to get done on the trainer before hitting the road. However, I decided really quickly that it was not worth it to get upset about, not worth it to stress about. It's 30 minutes. I spent 30 minutes sleeping instead of riding my bike. I really think it was a good trade-off. So I did 30 minutes on the indoor trainer, and then we hit the road around 7 o'clock for a 3 hour, 28-minute ride time, 73.7-mile ride. I'm still sort of feeling, I'm very proud of this ride. It really instilled a lot of confidence in me. As an athlete that's trained for triathlon for a long time now, like about 12, 13 years, I've really only focused on these iron distance racing for the last 2 or 3 years. So I haven't done a ton of these like 70-mile rides. I've probably done less than 10 rides more than 60 miles in my whole life, if I'm thinking about it. Probably less than 10 rides over 60 miles. So anything beyond 3 hours, 60 miles is a little bit out of my comfort zone. And my strategy for this long ride, I knew it was going to be long, but I was really curious to see if I really paced myself for the first few hours well, meaning I don't ride high in my power zone, meaning I'm doing my breathing. I'm trying to make sure that I'm aware of my heart rate, keeping it nice and relaxed. And it paid off really well. Very, very happy with the average power for 3.5 hours at 215, especially considering my heart rate is about 15 beats lower than my zone 2. So zone 1, average heart rate, zone 2, average power. And I think the real key here, what really had me feeling confident and a bit of a confidence boost on this ride, was the final hour felt exciting. The final hour after riding 30 minutes indoors and another 3 hours outside, typically a lot of the time at that point I just want things to be over. I'm kind of just like puttering in for that last hour, just sort of like mentally just done, physically just feeling like my legs want to stop moving. I'm very familiar with that feeling, and it just never really happened yesterday. I got to a point where I had about 45 minutes left to go, and I felt like I could actually increase my power a little bit. Like I'm like, all right, let's actually work a little harder for the last 45 minutes, and that was a really good feeling to have. And finished the ride feeling good. I think that my nutrition was on point. I think that my pacing was on point. Got onto the run, and it did hurt. I mean, running 13 miles a day before, riding for about 4 hours. Of course, going to run after all of that is not going to feel great. Like, I don't expect to feel amazing and fresh on a brick run like that. That being said, it felt very uncomfortable, but I was able to run almost the same exact paces that I did for the long run the day previous. My heart rate was under control. The perceived exertion was definitely up there though. Like I had a moment on the run where I was like, okay, I'm getting like 30 minutes done. Would I be able to do this for another 3 hours on race day? Thoughts like that going through my head. And I didn't dwell on it too much because it wasn't like I was suffering and just couldn't run or anything like that. It was just like just asking myself like, okay, this is how you're going to feel. Can you maintain this for 3.5 hours, And ultimately, a big confidence booster yesterday, especially on that ride. Felt pretty good on the run afterwards, but really just that last 45 minutes of the ride, feeling strong. I'm really happy with that. So great week of training last week. Overall went really well. Lots of strength training, and all my paces were really comfortable. Even that speed work on Wednesday. So big surprise there. Moving on to next week, let's take a look at that real quick before we wrap this up. Today's swim was 4,200 yards, and the main set was 2 sets of 4 by 400, descending the pace each 400. So basically swimming a total of 8 400s in 2 sets of 4. Looking to increase the pace for 4. So you start out and try to increase, like, so the first one, second one a little faster, third one a little faster, fourth one a little faster, and then you sort of reset and do that again. Pretty much nailed the workout. The goggles that I've been using, the Form goggles that I've been using, make it a lot easier to gauge that pace during an interval, so I could see every 2,500 yards, okay, this is the pace I'm at, and I roughly know where I need to be in order to increase the pace for those 400. So felt really good. Even on the last 400, where that was technically the fastest effort I was going to have to do, I really surprised myself. I was able to swim the last 400 in about, I think it was like 5:54. So that translates to about 1 minute and 29 seconds per 100. And the fact that for me, anything under 1:30 per 100 is a pretty solid effort. It's really hard for me to swim faster than that for very long. But I was able to pull that off on the last effort after swimming 3,600 yards to bust out a 400 under 6 minutes. I'm really happy with that. And then I also did another bodyweight strength training session earlier this afternoon, and I'm going to head to yoga tonight. So solid day of training today. Tomorrow we have a 90-minute aerobic ride. I know it says 45 minutes there, but that's just, we can ignore that. It's going to be 90 minutes easy riding. We'll probably go and do that on the bike outside, ride some loops, and then another 45-minute easy run after that, very similar to last week. Wednesday, the only thing on my plan is the group strength class at the Powerhouse. So that's pretty cool. I'll take it. You know, last week I had the speed run and the strength, but this week just the strength. You know what? That sounds good. Wednesday will be just a little bit of an easier day. On to Thursday, we have another 90-minute easy ride. After that, we got a little bit of a spicy run. You know, so no, you know, maybe that's why I don't have any speed work on Wednesday, because this run on Thursday off the bike should be interesting. 5 by 8 minutes. I'll probably take a 1 to 2 minute walk break after each one of those 8-minute segments. Lap 1, easy pace. Lap 2 and 3 at half marathon pace, which is going to be down around 7 minutes per mile. And then laps 4 and 5 at 10K pace. So there we are, more 10K pace. That's 2 weeks in a row. And last week was 5 by 5 minutes. This is going to be 2 by 8 minutes at 10K pace. So hanging on for a little bit longer than 5 minutes. Just got to do it twice though. So that should be interesting on Thursday. On to Friday, the double 1,000. All right. I get a chance at redemption here. I did the double 1,000 like 5 or 6 weeks ago. It was in one of the videos that I did, and that second one was just a nightmare. I really, just the wheels fell off. Hoping to do this workout much better this time. Swim 1,000 at an easy to steady effort, and then swim another 1,000 faster than that first one. I feel confident that I should be able to pull this one off this week. So 2 by 1,000 is the main set. That's going to be a long swim though. I mean, when you bring in the warm up and the cool down, it's going to be another probably close to 4,000 yards. So, and then after the swim, I've got a transition run, which means I'm going to hop out of the pool, put on my running shoes, and go jog from the pool. Typically, these are difficult runs for me. I tend to take them very easy, more of a jog. That'll probably be the case on Friday as well. Saturday, progression run. We have more intervals. So 3/4 mile repeats. Looks like we got one of them at like an easy effort, another one at marathon effort, then we got one at half marathon effort, and then another one at 10K effort. Honestly, this is going to be fine. 3/4 of a mile is, I mean, it's going to take like 5 minutes to do these intervals. So I'm not too worried about this run. Remainder at easy pace, and then I'll probably go to yoga on Saturday as well. Honestly, the only day that looks really tough this week is going to be Sunday. Sunday, 4-hour bike. I know we just did 4.5 hours, but this 4 hours talks about zone 3, low to mid zone 3. And that's a bit of a tough one. I mean, I ride zone 3 effort, like for example, to race a 70.3, I will probably target my zone 3 effort. And that's a 56-mile ride. I can do that in, I think I've done, my best ever was in Galveston. I did like a 224. Typically I'm coming in around 238, 240. So I'm used to riding about 2.5 hours at zone 3 power. It's something that I'm familiar with doing. I've done plenty of times. However, 4 hours at zone 3 is going to be a bit of a stretch. It's going to be outside that comfort zone. I'm definitely going to take this whole lower to mid zone 3 thing to heart, meaning I'm going to really tell myself that even just barely at the low end of my zone 3 is good enough. I don't have to ride high zone 3 and try to emulate that race pace from a 70.3. So I'm going to try to find this comfortable low zone 3 effort, hang on for 4 hours. We'll probably do the first hour of this ride indoors just to try to, get it done a little bit earlier in the day. Looking forward to seeing how this one goes. And then the other thing that's going to be challenging about Sunday is, so we got 4 hours at a higher output on the bike, excuse me. And then the run is 45 minutes off the bike. So that's a total of 4 hours, 45 minutes of training on Sunday. You factor in the bathroom breaks and all the other stuff that happens, to get a long training session like this done. I mean, probably looking at close to 5.5, 6 hours of total time that's going to be spent, doing this training. I'm conditioned well to do it. I mean, I'm coming off a 5.5 hour training day yesterday. I think I'm just a little bit spooked by the whole zone 3 thing, and then also having to run for 45 minutes after that. But I am here for it. That's everything. Really talking through this training week by week is something that I've never really done before, and it's not something I really knew what to expect in terms of what I'd gain from the experience. But I really am enjoying going through this. I think it's been helpful for me to go through and talk through this. And honestly, if this is helping you in any way, if you're gaining anything from this video, whether it's specifics about how you might prepare for an Ironman, or comparing my training plan to maybe your training plan, or even if you're just interested in the sort of mental aspects that I talk about, in terms of how this can be difficult and what I do to kind of cope with that. I would really love to know if these videos are serving you in any way. Please let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate the support. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider that as well. I can't describe to you how exciting it is for me to actually see that subscriber number jump up. That feels really good. And either way, I do appreciate you tuning in, whether you subscribe or not. And I will be here next week with another update, and we'll have 9 weeks to go, and then 8 weeks, and then 7 weeks, and then 6. I'm getting excited here. And this last week of training was a good confidence booster. Hopefully going to keep that sort of spring in my step going into the training this week. And I'll be back on Monday to tell you all about it. So take care. Have a good rest of your day, night, morning, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.